Coming in hot, I'm your host and captain of the Reason to Reason podcast, Sal Galati. We're going to do something a little bit different. You're just going to get a taste, a dose of reason. So today I got a guest, kinda. It's going to be short because the guest isn't here. His name's Michael Savage. Why am I doing this episode? I did a episode on tariffs that did very well, and I think was ahead of the curve now that time has passed. And he's kind of the guy that helped me see things that way. You know, try to process the information, think, don't let the media make a determination on what I think is going on. How this idea came to pass to try to interview this guy, Michael Savage, is I posted my tariff episode as a comment on Twitter to his tariff episode that he did like 4 or 5 days later. Thought, you know, some people would check it out. And I've always wanted to try to communicate with this guy. He's been very influential in my life. And he blocked me. And I'm not upset. It's funny. It's actually very much his character. Very bright guy, very outspoken, very well-rounded. I respect all the traits. I found him when I was 20 years old in a car radio, and he would, you know, then 2 years would pass, and then I couldn't find him anymore because he would be taken off major syndications. Even though he was popular, he was censored, right? Back before censorship became very common. And now he does a podcast, and he is controversial, but he's not controversial for like what Google will say or Media Matters says, that he's racist, he's a homophobe, or a Islamophobe, or whatever. He's none of those things. He's a threat to the establishment because, you know, Fox News won't bring him on, or CNN won't bring him on, because he's got something to say about everyone, and honestly, more often than not, he's right. He's been so influential in my life in challenging me to think. He got me thinking about, like, the border, for example, in a different way. Not like the way everyone says it, in the way that both parties were making money off this deal. He got me thinking about the NGOs that are all over the world that, you know, finally we're starting to make some headway in cleaning these things out and calling them out for what they are. All the corruption on both sides of the fence, the kids and the nephews of certain politicians sitting on the boards of these institutions making money left and right. So when he blocked me, it made me think, how do I reach this guy? So I want to do a conversation with him, and really it's in regards to his faith. His last episode was regarding the Passover. He is a Jewish man. He talks about God quite a bit, but he's got a mindset which I'm trying to unfree him from. You know, I'm trying to do him a favor. He's got like a society called the Healing Wheel Society. Essentially, his view, which is a common view, is that there's many ways to find God. And that really, you know, whatever you're born, just stick with that. Just stick with the religion of your parents or whatever. And I'm rebelling against that. And because I'm not a religious person, I think religion's not necessary. We should be seeking the truth. What is true, what is not. And honestly, this isn't different from the man I knew. And he would always describe himself as someone that believed in God, but yet he always seemed to have hated religion. He noticed a lot of hypocrisy in religion. And I want to help him along because he respected Jesus and what he taught, but I don't know if he knew exactly what Jesus came to do or accomplish. I'm going to give you a little bit from Mark 11. He comes in, the triumphal entry, right, and receiving him like a king. They're looking at him as a Messiah. The Jewish people are. He's going to free them from the Roman occupation. Now, the religious leaders really didn't like Jesus. He kind of was contrary to their business. And really in the Gospels, you're seeing kind of this tension between what does the law say and what does the religion of the religious leaders they created say, and this tension between the two. So he comes in, the people receive him. And instead of going to the garrison, where the Romans soldiers were, he checked out the temple. And this is the famous scene where Jesus comes into the temple and he's irate. Part of the law to Passover was people would have to buy a lamb or a dove if they didn't have the means, and offer it as a sacrifice, as atonement to keep the Passover that was instituted back in Exodus when they left Egypt. And what they were doing was they were cheating the people. They said the Roman money wasn't clean, so you'd have to buy temple money to use in the temple to buy the lambs, but with the currency exchange, they were ripping people off. And he saw what they were doing, and he just was irate. He quoted one of the prophets, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all the nations, but you have made it a den of robbers. And he flips the tables over, and he releases all the animals. So what was he doing here? He's preparing himself to be the Passover sacrifice, the final sacrifice to atone sin of all. And here the religious leaders are that have so marred the tradition that God had instituted so that they would recognize this Messiah figure, as being a sacrificial lamb. Because of the religion of the Pharisees, the people couldn't recognize it. That's why he was so irate. So, Michael, you're right to hate religion. That's what I want you to know. I have a saying I came up with. I've shared it before. Religion is to God as politics is to governance. So what does that mean? God is real and God is good. It's the man-made religion that mars it, so we can't recognize it. Governance is good. It's necessary. It's the politics that mars it, makes it ineffective and actionable. But don't confuse the two, and don't hate God because you hate the man-made religion. In the last episode he talked about the Passover, and I want to connect it to what Jesus accomplished on what we call Easter, which really we lose the meaning of the word. Where that word Easter comes from, it's a whole nother topic. But if in Italy, when you say Easter, it's Pasqua, which Pasqua is Passover. They're one and the same. When Jesus came, the sacrifice happened on the Passover. And the Passover was something that God had instituted when they left Egypt. And it included sacrificing a lamb, taking the blood from the lamb, covering the lintels of the door so that the angel of death would pass over them. And he asked them to then subsequently keep this going on every year. So even today, Jews recently celebrated the Passover, and you'll have people that don't even believe in God, secular Jews, very much they keep this tradition. There's something about it, and it's fascinating because how else would this thing happen that thousands of years after the event, people still keep this event, this tradition, this feast, if it was just made up of a fake story? It screams of truth. He was interviewing this Jewish gangster that obviously had a profound effect on him to see this guy's life radically change. And what the guy said was God broke him. He was praying. He was asking for healing. He had an ailment. He said, look, if you heal me, I'll turn it around. And a lot of people have been in that spot. And what Savage concluded was, which is a very religious kind of way of looking at it, where you do something and you earn it, is God will bring you low and then you could save yourself. You'll change and save yourself. But this is slightly different than the truth. The truth is he's the one who saves you. He's the one that changes you. And how does he do it? Through love. If this sacrifice happened, if he gave his life for you, if he rose, and you can look at the evidences for all that, it changes you. It allows you to not take the things of this world so seriously and make them the end-all be-all. The insecurity, the anxiety, the lack of, if you don't feel like you've gotten enough credit for your works. I think Michael deals with all these things. I know a lot of people have used his ideas, taken his ideas, but they don't ascribe credit to him. He's very volatile, right? He's a great idea man, but he could rub people the wrong way. I mean, I relate to him quite a bit. So if I were to have a combo with him, I'd say, look, as free of a thinker as you were and you encouraged me to be, you were so free in your thinking, you left what most of your family and the people around you believed politically was the truth and what was right and the way to go about things. And you unshackled yourself from that. Why not take the same approach when it comes to what's true, when it comes to God? There's not many ways to God. He's spoken fondly of Jesus of Nazareth as a good teacher, like many have. But he said, I'm the way, I'm the truth, I'm the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Michael, how does that make you think? Was he lying? Did he rise? Have you considered the evidence? He's a Jew, and he's very proud of his Jewish culture, and that's great. You can remain a Jew. Jesus is a Jew. You could be alive in Christ with him. The fear, the anxiety, the insecurity, it all melts because this isn't everything. If you just celebrated the Passover, and normally Passover and Easter do fall around the same time, but because of various calendars, they don't always line up. But when Jesus came and was crucified, it was on the Passover. That's why he was in Jerusalem. And much like the first Passover that spared the sons of Israel from death, not because they were better, not because they did something better than the Egyptian firstborn son, but because an innocent lamb died in their place, and they covered the lintels with blood. Think about what Jesus' Passover accomplished. Think about why that had to happen. Think about the evidence that it did happen. What does this all mean? I encourage you to study the Passover narrative in Exodus. I encourage you to look at the life, the teachings, the sacrifice, and the resurrection and the evidence for it all. And I just want to encourage you to do that, Michael. You've had a very influential role in my life. I'm a nobody. I'm glad to be a nobody. I hope this episode reaches you. I know you're thinking about these things, Michael. I hear it in your voice. I hear as you get older, you're worried, you're wondering. God's not going to receive you because you're a good guy. You know you're not a good guy. None of us are. You've done a lot of great things, though. You've had a great influence on my life. I want to thank you for that. But trust on what he did. It's freeing. It's liberating. I hope you hear this. I hope people listening on get something out of this. I just wish you a happy truth-seeking, Michael. Keep your mind free. Peace.
Sing it!
Thanks for joining us for another episode. I hope I got you thinking and out of your comfort zone. Believe me, the biggest fear your government has is a population that is thinking and talking to one another. So get out there, take a risk, start a conversation, make a friend, and reason with each other. Share the show with someone who you think needs to hear it. I wish you peace and love.